Teenage Love, Part 1, Between Classes. The final bell echoed through the hallways, marking the end of another day. Students spilled into the corridors, their laughter and conversations filling the space. Near the lockers by the library, however, it was quieter. Two students stood together, just slightly apart from the rush of people heading home. Lily leaned against her locker, arms crossed casually, watching the sun's fading light filter through the high windows. Alex stood beside her, adjusting his backpack on one shoulder, a subtle nervous energy in his stance. They had known each other for years, but recently, something had shifted between them. Unspoken feelings hovered in the air, growing stronger with each passing day, but neither had dared to voice them until now.
You ever notice how the school feels so different after everyone's gone? It's quieter, makes you think about stuff you don't usually pay attention to during the day.
Like what? The assignments you haven't finished.
No, not that. More like the future. What's gonna happen after this is all over? After high school, you ever think about that?
I do sometimes. It's hard to picture what comes next. Everything's changing so fast, but I guess that's just part of life, right? Why, what's on your mind?
I've been thinking a lot about us. Like, when things change, when we leave this place, do you think we'll still be the same, or will we drift apart, like so many people do after graduation? Question: do you think we can keep things the same between us after high school? A. Yes, if we both try, we can stay close no matter what. B. No, life changes too much after high school. C. Things will change, but that doesn't mean they'll be worse, they might get better.
Answer C. Things will change, but that doesn't mean that they'll be worse. They might get better. I think change is inevitable, especially when we're moving on from high school. But that doesn't mean everything will fall apart. Sometimes, change can bring people closer. It can show us what really matters, what we might have overlooked before.
I hadn't thought about it like that. You're right, though. Change doesn't have to be scary. It could make us see each other in new ways, make our connections stronger, even when things aren't the same anymore.
Exactly. We might not know what's coming, but it doesn't mean we have to lose what we have. If we handle it right, things could actually get better between us.
The last echoes of students' footsteps faded down the hallway, and the school quieted. The long shadows from the setting sun stretched across the lockers, casting the hallway in a warm orange glow. Outside, the sounds of life, the chirping of crickets, the hum of distant cars, began to fill the air, creating a peaceful atmosphere as the school settled into its evening calm.
There's something else I've been meaning to tell you. I don't know how to say it, but I like you, Lily. More than just as a friend. I've been wondering for a while if you feel the same way.
I've thought about it, but don't you think it's kind of risky? I mean, liking someone so close to graduation, right when everything's about to change?
Yeah, it's risky, but maybe that's what makes it feel so important. I didn't want to wait until it was too late. With everything changing, I wanted to be honest with you.
I get that. I guess I've been thinking about it too. But what if it doesn't work? What if everything changes and we lose what we have? Question: do you think young love can last beyond high school? A. Yes, if it's strong enough, it can survive anything. B. No, it's hard for love to last when we're so young. C. It can, but only if both people are willing to work for it.
Answer: C. It can, but only if both people are willing to work for it. I don't think love lasts just because you want it to. It takes effort. We'd have to work at it, even when things get tough or when we're in different places. But if we both care enough, we could make it work, no matter what happens.
I see what you're saying. It's not about holding on to what we have now and hoping it stays the same forever. It's about adapting, about growing together. And if we're both willing to do that, maybe it can last.
Exactly. I think if we're honest with each other, if we're willing to put in the effort, there's no reason we can't make this work. It's not going to be easy, but I think it could be worth it.
The light outside had dimmed, and the first signs of twilight spread across the sky. The distant sounds of life outside the school were accompanied by the occasional rustling of the wind through the trees. The lockers gleamed faintly under the soft glow of the overhead lights, and the halls had emptied completely, leaving Alex and Lily in a world that felt like it was just theirs.
So, what now? We know things will change and we don't have all the answers. Do we just take it one step at a time?
I think that's the best way. No rush, no pressure. We can figure things out as we go, instead of trying to control everything.
Do you think love is more meaningful when we don't try to control it? Question: do you think love is more meaningful when we don't try to control it? A. Yes, love should be natural and grow on its own without too many expectations. B. No, love needs direction and boundaries to stay strong. C. It's a balance. Too much control can ruin it, but it still needs care and attention.
Answer: A. Yes, love should be natural and grow on its own without too many expectations. I think love should feel free, like it's something that happens naturally. If we set too many rules or expectations, we'll start forcing it, and that's when things fall apart. But if we let it grow at its own pace, we'll know if it's real.
I think you're right. Trying to control love makes it lose something, like it stops being about how we feel and starts being about what we think it should be. Letting it happen on its own sounds better. Maybe that's how we keep it real.
The final traces of sunlight disappeared, leaving the campus bathed in the soft glow of the streetlights outside. The air had grown cooler, and the sounds of the day had faded entirely. All that remained was the faint hum of distant traffic and the soft shuffle of their footsteps as Alex and Lily walked slowly together toward the school gate. The uncertainty of the future hovered around them, but it didn't feel as heavy as before.
So, I guess we'll just see what happens. Take it one day at a time.
Yeah, no need to rush. We've got time to figure it all out. As long as we're being honest with each other, we'll know where this is going.
And whatever happens, I'm glad I told you how I feel. Even if things don't go exactly as planned, at least we won't wonder about what could have been.
Same here. It's better this way, being open about it. I think we'll figure it out together, step by step.
One step at a time then. No pressure, no expectations, just us.
As the night settled in around them, Alex and Lily walked together under the soft glow of the street lights, their footsteps in sync, both knowing that whatever the future held, they were ready to face it, together, without fear, letting love grow naturally. 5 words related to the theme of teenage love. Part 1. Between classes.
Infatuation, a fleeting yet intense feeling often experienced during young love. Change, the inevitable shift in life that challenges relationships but also allows for growth.
Connection, the bond that holds people together even in moments of uncertainty. Growth, the process of learning and evolving together in a relationship.
Uncertainty, the unknowns that come with love and life, especially during times of transition.
Teenage Love, Part 2, Under the Moonlight. The night had deepened as Alex and Lily walked side by side, leaving the school behind them. The distant glow of the city lights lit up the horizon, while the soft beams of the moon illuminated their path. The cool night air carried a sense of quiet calm, but beneath the surface, both of them could feel the weight of everything left unsaid. After their conversation near the lockers, things felt different, lighter, but also more serious. The reality of what they'd confessed was starting to settle in. They reached the park at the edge of the neighborhood, a place they had often visited with friends, but tonight it felt more intimate. They sat down on one of the benches, surrounded by trees that whispered in the evening breeze. The sound of their footsteps had faded, replaced by the occasional chirp of crickets and the distant hum of the town beyond. For a while, they didn't say anything, just sat there, taking in the quiet.
It feels kind of strange, doesn't it, sitting here after what we talked about earlier, like everything's different, but also the same.
I know what you mean. It's like we've crossed some invisible line, but nothing else has changed. I guess I thought saying it out loud would make everything feel more, I don't know, real.
Yeah. But maybe that's a good thing. I mean, we still have time to figure it out, right? We don't have to rush into anything.
Right. I'm not in any hurry. I'd rather take it slow, enjoy whatever this is, and let it grow naturally. Question: do you think love is better when it's slow and steady, or when it happens fast and intense? A. Slow and steady, it gives you time to really know each other. B. Fast and intense, it's exciting and keeps things passionate. C. A balance of both. Sometimes love needs to be spontaneous, but also needs time to grow.
Answer A. Slow and steady. It gives you time to really know each other. I think when love grows slowly, it lasts longer. You get to know each other's strengths and flaws, and you learn to appreciate everything, not just the exciting parts. It's about building something real, step by step, instead of rushing into something you're not ready for.
I like that. There's no need to rush when we have time. It's more about building something that can last, not just chasing excitement.
Exactly. I'd rather have something solid, something I can rely on, than a quick burst of feelings that fades as soon as things get hard.
The trees rustled softly in the night breeze, their leaves catching the moonlight as it filtered through the branches. The stars overhead twinkled brightly in the clear sky, adding to the peacefulness of the moment. A faint glow from a nearby lamppost illuminated their bench, casting long shadows across the grass.
You know, it's funny how people always talk about love like it's supposed to be perfect, but I think love's messy, full of ups and downs. It's not always going to be easy, but that's what makes it real, right?
Yeah, I think people expect love to solve everything, but it doesn't. Sometimes it even makes things harder, but I guess that's where the real connection comes from, working through the hard parts together.
And not giving up when it gets tough. That's what matters most, knowing that no matter what, we're both still in this together.
Question: do you think love is more about effort or just letting things happen naturally? A. Effort. It takes work to make a relationship last. B. Letting it happen naturally. If it's meant to be, it'll work out on its own. C. Both. It's about finding the right balance between putting in effort and letting things flow.
Answer: C. Both. It's about finding the right balance between putting in effort and letting things flow. I think it takes both. You can't force love to work, but you also can't just sit back and hope it'll stay strong without any effort. You've got to put in the time, but also give each other space to be yourselves. That's how you keep it real.
That makes sense. It's like you have to take care of it, but not control it. Let it grow on its own, but make sure you're nurturing it along the way.
Exactly. And that's what I want to do. Put in the effort without trying to make everything perfect.
The sound of a distant car passing by broke the stillness of the night, but it quickly faded, leaving them once again in the quiet of the park. The moon had risen higher, casting a soft glow over everything, making the world feel both bigger and smaller at the same time.
Do you ever wonder if people put too much pressure on love? Like they expect it to fix everything, but really, it's just one part of your life.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do that. They think love is supposed to make all their problems go away, but it's not magic. It's not perfect. It's just life, I guess. Something you have to figure out as you go.
Maybe that's what makes it so special, though. The fact that it's not perfect. It's something you work on, something you grow with. Do you think love is more meaningful because of its imperfections? Question: is love more meaningful because it's imperfect? A. Yes, imperfections make love real and give it depth. B. No, love should be perfect, or at least as close to perfect as possible. C. It depends. Imperfections can make love harder, but they can also make it stronger.
Answer A. Yes, imperfections make love real and give it depth. I think love wouldn't be as meaningful if it were perfect. The imperfections are what make it real. When you see someone's flaws and choose to be with them anyway, that's where the depth comes from, not from everything being easy.
I agree. The imperfections are what make love feel alive, like it's something you're constantly discovering. If it were perfect, it'd be boring. It's the ups and downs that make it worth it.
The night had fully settled in, the stars bright above them. The park, now almost entirely quiet, felt like their own private world. Alex and Lily sat there for a while longer, not saying much, just enjoying the silence and the shared understanding between them. Eventually, they got up and began walking toward the street, the soft crunch of gravel beneath their feet the only sound as they left the park behind.
I'm glad we talked tonight. I feel like we've taken another step forward, you know.
Me too. It's like we've opened up a new part of whatever this is, and I'm okay with taking it slow, figuring things out as we go.
Same here. No rush, just seeing where this takes us.
Yeah, one step at a time.
As they walked out of the park, the moonlight following their path, Alex and Lily knew that they didn't have to have everything figured out right away. What mattered was the journey they were taking together, slow and steady, with all its imperfections. 5 words related to the theme of teenage love, Part 2, Under the Moonlight.
Spontaneity. The act of doing something impulsive or unplanned, often adding excitement to relationships. Commitment. The dedication required to make a relationship last, even when things get difficult.
Trust. The foundation of any relationship, built through honesty and understanding. Growth, the personal and mutual development that happens as two people experience life together.
Imperfection, the flaws and challenges in a relationship that make it more meaningful and real.
Teenage Love, Part 3, The Promise of Tomorrow. As the days passed, things between Alex and Lily continued to grow, slowly but steadily. Their conversations became deeper, their silences more comfortable, and their time together more precious. They hadn't rushed anything, choosing to let their feelings evolve naturally, but the connection between them was undeniable. The uncertainty of the future still lingered, but it no longer felt intimidating. It was something they both accepted, something they were willing to face together. One afternoon, they met up in their favorite spot, a quiet corner of the school courtyard, just before the end of the day. The golden light of the setting sun bathed the benches and trees in a warm glow, casting long shadows on the grass. The campus was quieter than usual, the usual hustle of students winding down as the week neared its end. Alex had been thinking about something for days now, but he hadn't brought it up yet. Now, as they sat together, He decided it was time.
I've been thinking about something. You know, with graduation coming up soon, everything's going to change again. But this time, it feels more real, like we're standing on the edge of something big.
Yeah, it's like we're at this crossroads, and whatever we decide, it's going to shape the next part of our lives. It's exciting, but also kind of scary.
Exactly. And with that in mind, I wanted to ask you something. Do you think love can really survive distance, like when we're not seeing each other every day anymore? Question: do you think love can survive long distances? A. Yes, if both people are committed, distance won't matter. B. No, it's too hard to maintain a relationship when you're far apart. C. It can, but only if you're both willing to put in extra effort to stay connected.
Answer: C. It can, but only if you're both willing to put in extra effort to stay connected. I think distance is hard, no doubt. It takes extra effort to stay connected, to communicate, and to make time for each other when you're not physically there. But if both people are willing to work at it, it can survive. It's about finding new ways to stay close, even when you're far apart.
I think that makes sense. It's not about pretending the distance doesn't exist, but about adapting to it, making sure we still make each other a priority.
Exactly. We might not see each other every day, but that doesn't mean we can't stay close. We just have to be creative and make the effort.
The sun began to dip lower, casting the sky in brilliant hues of orange and pink. The shadows grew longer across the courtyard, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves of the trees nearby. The school grounds were mostly empty now, except for a few students lingering around, chatting in the fading light.
You know, with everything changing so fast, it makes you think about the future. What kind of people we'll be, where we'll end up. But no matter where we go, I think what we've built here is important. It's something I don't want to lose, even as we both grow.
I've been thinking the same thing. It's weird to think about who we'll become in the next few years. But I know one thing. I don't want to lose this either. But do you think people can grow and still stay together, or does change always pull people apart?
Question: can people grow individually and still stay together? A. Yes, as long as both people are open to supporting each other's growth. B. No, individual growth often leads to people drifting apart. C. It depends if you're growing in the same direction. It can work, but if your paths diverge, it's harder to stay together.
Answer: A. Yes, as long as both people are open to supporting each other's growth. I think growth doesn't have to pull people apart. It's about understanding that we're both going to change over time, but as long as we're there for each other and willing to support each other's growth, we can still stay close. It's not about staying the same, but about growing together in different ways.
I agree. It's about being there for each other. Even when life takes us in new directions, growth doesn't have to mean growing apart. It can mean growing stronger together, if we're open to it.
Exactly. And I want to be that kind of person for you. Someone who supports you, even as we both change.
The colors in the sky deepened as the sun dipped closer to the horizon, bathing the courtyard in a soft, golden light. A peaceful stillness had settled over the school grounds, and the sounds of the city beyond felt distant, as if the rest of the world had momentarily paused.
I've been thinking a lot about promises lately. People make so many promises when they're young. About love, about the future, and sometimes they break them, even when they don't mean to. Do you think it's possible to make a promise now, at this age, and actually keep it?
I don't know. I think promises are only as strong as the effort behind them. If you're willing to work for it, a promise can mean everything. But if you take it for granted, it can fall apart. Why do you ask?
Question. Do you think promises made in young love can last? A. Yes, if both people are committed, they can keep their promises. B. No, young love is too fragile for lasting promises. C. It depends on the circumstances. Some promises last, but others fade with time.
Answer A. Yes, if both people are committed, they can keep their promises. I think if both people are committed to the promise they make, it can last. It's not about the age or the stage of life you're in. It's about the dedication you have to each other. If you're both willing to put in the work and the effort, there is no reason why a promise can't last, even if you make it now.
I like that. It's not about when you make the promise, but how much you believe in it and how much effort you're willing to put in to keep it. I think we can make a promise like that and mean it.
I think so too. If we promise to be there for each other, to keep growing together, and to support each other, that's a promise worth keeping.
The last rays of sunlight disappeared behind the horizon, leaving the sky awash in deep purples and blues. The first stars began to twinkle above, and the streetlights around the school flickered on, casting a soft glow across the courtyard. Alex and Lily stood up from the bench, their silhouettes framed against the fading light, and began walking together toward the gates, their steps in sync.
So, what do you think? Can we promise to keep this going, no matter what happens next?
I think we can. As long as we're both willing to work at it, I believe we can keep that promise.
Good. Because that's the promise I want to make, to keep this, to keep us going, no matter what comes next.
Then let's make that promise, Alex, and let's mean it.
Under the twilight sky, with the promise of tomorrow lingering between them, Alex and Lily walked hand in hand, ready to face the uncertainties of the future, knowing that whatever came next, they would face it together. 5 words related to the theme of teenage love. Part 3. The Promise of Tomorrow.
Resilience, the ability to withstand and recover from difficulties, especially in relationships. Sacrifice, the act of giving up something important in order to support or strengthen a relationship.
Perseverance, the determination to keep going even when challenges arise in love or life. Fidelity, the faithfulness and loyalty to someone, especially in the face of temptation or distance.
Commitment, the long-term dedication to making a relationship work through effort, understanding, and trust.
Teenage Love, Part 4, Through Unseen Challenges. The weeks following Alex and Lily's promise to one another passed by in a blur. With graduation looming and the reality of the future creeping closer, they found themselves caught in the excitement and uncertainty of the end of their high school days. Their promise had strengthened their bond, but as time wore on, the challenges they had once discussed began to surface. Balancing school, family pressures, and the plans they had for their own futures started to test the very foundation they had built together. One afternoon, after a particularly long week filled with exams and college application stress, Alex and Lily met up again in the same quiet corner of the school courtyard where they had shared so many meaningful conversations. The late afternoon sun cast a soft, golden light over the scene, but today, the air between them felt heavier, as though something unspoken lingered. They sat down on the familiar bench, but this time the silence felt different, tense.
It's been a long week, hasn't it? I feel like I'm being pulled in so many directions, and I can't keep up. Everything's happening so fast.
Yeah, I get that. Between school, figuring out what comes next, and trying to make time for everything else, it's overwhelming. It feels like we're in the middle of a storm, and I don't know when it's going to let up.
Do you think maybe we've taken on too much? I mean, everything we talked about, our promise, the future, it's all starting to feel a lot harder than I thought it would. Question: do you think love can survive when life gets overwhelming? A. Yes, love can be a source of strength during tough times. B. No, sometimes life's challenges are too much for love to handle. C. It depends on how much effort both people are willing to put in.
Answer A. Yes, love can be a source of strength during tough times. I think love can help you through the hardest parts of life, but it's not just about surviving. It's about leaning on each other and finding comfort in the fact that no matter how chaotic things get, there's someone who's always there for you. That's what makes love strong. It gives you something to hold on to when everything else is falling apart.
I want to believe that too. It's just that, right now, it feels like everything is spiraling, and I'm scared that no matter how strong we are, life might just be too much.
I get that, but I think we need to trust that what we have is strong enough to help us get through it. We don't have to figure it all out at once, but if we keep leaning on each other, we'll find our way through.
The shadows grew longer as the sun dipped lower in the sky. The sound of distant conversations and the faint echo of a ball bouncing on the basketball court filled the quiet courtyard, but the space around Alex and Lily felt insulated from the outside world, as if they were the only two people in that moment.
I guess I didn't expect everything to hit all at once. I mean, I knew it was going to be hard, but it's like every decision we make now is going to affect our entire future. And that's a lot of pressure.
It is. And it's not just about us. It's everything else too. Family expectations, college decisions, even what our friends are doing. It's like we're being pulled in 1,000 directions. But I think we can handle it if we stick together.
But what if sticking together is part of the problem? What if us trying to make this work is adding more pressure instead of helping? Question: do you think staying together during tough times adds more pressure? A. Yes, relationships can sometimes make difficult times even harder. B. No, staying together provides support and relief from life's stresses. C. It depends on how well both people can handle the pressure together.
Answer: C. It depends on how well both people can handle the pressure together. I think it depends on how we handle things. If we try to ignore the pressure or pretend everything's perfect, then yeah, it'll add more stress. But if we're honest with each other, if we talk about what's hard and figure things out together, it can actually make things easier. The key is not letting the pressure build up without addressing it.
That makes sense. I guess I've been holding a lot in because I didn't want to make things harder for you. But maybe that's part of the problem. We haven't been talking about how much pressure we're really feeling.
Exactly. If we don't talk about it, it'll just keep building. But if we're honest about what's overwhelming us, we can work through it together.
The orange glow of the setting sun reflected off the windows of the school building, casting long streaks of light across the courtyard. The once noisy campus had grown quieter, with only a few students lingering. The breeze picked up, carrying with it the faint scent of grass and flowers from the nearby garden.
I don't want to lose what we have because of everything going on, but sometimes I wonder, is love enough to hold things together when life gets complicated, or do we need more than just love to make it work?
I've thought about that too. Love is important, but maybe it's not enough on its own. I think we need understanding, patience, and trust. Those things make love stronger when life gets messy. Do you think love alone is enough to keep us going through everything that's coming? Question: is love alone enough to sustain a relationship through tough times? A. Yes, love is the foundation, and it can get you through anything. B. No, you need more than love. Trust, communication, and patience are just as important. C. It depends on the situation. Sometimes love is enough, and sometimes it's not.
Answer: B. No, you need more than love. Trust, communication, and patience are just as important. I don't think love is enough on its own. It's the foundation, but you also need trust and patience. You have to communicate when things are hard, and you have to be willing to put in the effort to make things work. Love is what holds everything together, but without those other things, it can fall apart when life gets tough.
I agree. Love is the reason we're trying to make this work, but without everything else, trust, patience, communication, we wouldn't be able to handle the pressure. I think what makes love strong is all the other things we put into it.
The last light of the setting sun dipped below the horizon, leaving the courtyard bathed in a soft twilight. The sounds of the day had faded into the background, and the cool night air began to settle in. Alex and Lily stood up from the bench, the weight of their conversation still hanging between them. But something felt lighter, like they had taken a step forward, even with all the challenges ahead.
I feel better after talking about all of this. It's not like everything's fixed, but at least we know where we stand. We're not pretending things aren't hard, and I think that's what's going to help us get through this.
Me too. I don't have all the answers, but I feel like we can face whatever's coming. We just have to keep being honest with each other, even when things are tough.
Yeah, and I promise I'm not going anywhere. We'll figure this out together, one step at a time.
That's all we can do, one step at a time.
Under the darkening sky, with the challenges of the future still looming ahead, Alex and Lily walked together, their hearts lighter than before, knowing that while love might not be enough on its own, it was the foundation that would help them weather whatever storms lay ahead. 5 words related to the theme of teenage love, Part 4, through unseen challenges.
Adaptation, the ability to adjust to new circumstances or challenges in a relationship. Endurance, the strength to keep going even when things are difficult, especially in love.
Vulnerability, the willingness to be open and honest about one's fears and weaknesses in a relationship. Mutuality, the shared effort and understanding between two people to make a relationship work.
Balance, the act of finding harmony between love, personal growth, and life's pressures.
Teenage Love, Part 5, The Crossroads of Tomorrow. Graduation day had finally arrived. The air was filled with excitement, nervousness, and a bittersweet sense of finality. The once familiar school halls were now adorned with banners, and the courtyard where Alex and Lily had spent so much time together felt different, brimming with the energy of students ready to move on to the next chapter of their lives. Alex and Lily stood amidst the crowd, wearing their caps and gowns, surrounded by their friends and classmates, but their focus was on each other. They had spent the last few months facing the uncertainties of life and love head-on. Their relationship had deepened through open communication, patience, and an understanding that love alone wasn't always enough. Today was the culmination of all the promises they had made to each other, but it was also the beginning of something new. A future they were stepping into with both excitement and trepidation. After the graduation ceremony ended, they met in the quiet corner of the school courtyard, where they had shared so many important moments. This time, the air felt heavier, the unspoken question of "what's next?" hanging between them.
We made it. Graduation day. It feels like we've been waiting forever for this moment, but now that it's here, I don't know how I feel.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that too. It's like we've spent so long worrying about the future, and now it's here. Everything we've been talking about, everything we've been planning for, it's all happening. Are you ready?
I don't know if anyone's ever really ready, but I feel like we've done everything we can to prepare. We've talked about all the hard stuff, and we've made it this far. But now it's time to make some real choices, isn't it? Question: do you think we're really ready for what comes next? A. Yes, we've done everything we can to prepare for this moment. B. No, nothing can truly prepare us for the challenges ahead. C. We're as ready as we'll ever be, but we'll have to figure things out along the way.
Answer: C. We're as ready as we'll ever be, but we'll have to figure things out along the way. I think we've done everything we can to prepare, but life is unpredictable. There's no way to be fully ready for everything that's coming. We'll have to figure it out as we go, and that's okay. What matters is that we're facing it together.
That's true. We've prepared as much as we can, but we can't predict what the future will throw at us. I guess that's what makes it exciting, though, right? Knowing that we're stepping into the unknown, but that we'll handle it together.
The sounds of celebration filled the air around them as the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the school grounds. The laughter of their classmates echoed in the distance, but for Alex and Lily, time seemed to slow. This was their moment, a quiet pause before the rush of the future swept them forward.
You know, this isn't just the end of high school. It's the end of a chapter in our lives. Everything's about to change. We're both heading in different directions for college, and I can't help but wonder, how are we going to make this work?
I've been thinking about that too. We've talked about distance before, but now that it's really happening, it feels different, more real. Do you still think we can handle it?
I think we can. We've faced so much already, and we've made it through. But long distance is going to be hard. We need to have a plan, something to hold on to when things get tough. Do you think we should set some kind of expectation for how we'll make it work? Question: should we set specific expectations for how we'll handle long distance, or should we just see how it goes? A. Yes. Setting expectations will help us stay connected and manage the challenges. B. No, we should let things happen naturally without putting too much pressure on ourselves. C. A balance of both, some expectations to keep us grounded, but also room to let things develop naturally.
Answer: C. A balance of both. Some expectations to keep us grounded, but also room to let things develop naturally. I think we need some expectations, like how often we'll talk or visit each other, but we shouldn't put too much pressure on ourselves. Life is unpredictable, and we need to leave room for things to change. As long as we stay flexible, we'll be able to handle whatever comes our way.
That makes sense. We should have some structure to keep us connected, but also enough freedom to let things evolve on their own. It's about staying committed, but not forcing it.
The sky shifted from orange to deep purple as dusk settled in. The school courtyard, once filled with the excitement of graduation, had quieted down. The last of the students were leaving, and the lights from the school building flickered on, casting a soft glow over the familiar space.
I know we've talked about a lot, but there's one more thing on my mind. As much as we've promised each other that we'll make this work, part of me is still scared. What if things change and we grow apart? What if the distance is too much?
I've thought about that too. It's scary, not knowing what's going to happen. But I think that's just part of life. We can't control everything, and we might change, but I don't think growing apart is inevitable. We've already faced so much together. I think we can handle whatever comes next. But what about you? Do you think we'll stay as close as we are now? Question: do you believe we'll stay as close as we are now, even with everything changing? A. Yes, we've built a strong foundation, and distance won't change that. B. No, distance will naturally create some distance between us emotionally too. C. We might not stay exactly the same, but that doesn't mean we'll grow apart.
Answer: C. We might not stay exactly the same, but that doesn't mean we'll grow apart. I don't think we'll stay exactly the same, but that's not a bad thing. We're both going to change as we grow, and so will our relationship. But change doesn't mean we'll lose what we have. If anything, it might make us stronger, because we'll have to keep working at it and finding new ways to stay connected.
I like that. It's like our relationship will evolve, just like we will. We might not be exactly the same people a year from now, but that doesn't mean we won't still be close. It just means we'll have to keep putting in the effort to grow together.
The stars had started to appear in the deepening night sky, twinkling above them as Alex and Lily stood together, their graduation gowns rustling in the gentle evening breeze. The world around them was changing, but in this moment they felt anchored to each other, grounded in the promises they had made. As they began walking away from the courtyard, they knew that whatever came next, they would face it together, one step at a time.
I'm glad we've talked about all of this. I know things won't be easy, but I feel like we've got a real shot at making it work, no matter what the future holds.
Me too. It's not about having all the answers right now. It's about being willing to face whatever comes our way, and I'm ready to do that with you.
Then let's make a promise, again, not just to stay together, but to keep growing together, no matter how far apart we are.
I promise, we'll figure this out, just like we've figured everything else out, one step at a time.
Under the blanket of stars, with their hearts full of hope and determination, Alex and Lily walked away from their high school years, ready to face the next chapter of their lives, knowing that their love, though tested, would continue to grow with every challenge they faced together. 5 words related to the theme of teenage love. Part 5, The Crossroads of Tomorrow.
Transition. The process of moving from one stage of life to another, often bringing uncertainty and change. Evolve. To develop gradually, often in response to new challenges or experiences, particularly in relationships.
Flexibility. The ability to adapt to new circumstances, important in maintaining a healthy relationship. Commitment. A deep sense of dedication and loyalty to someone or something, essential for long-term relationships.
Reassurance. the act of giving or receiving comfort and confidence, especially during times of uncertainty.
Teenage Love, Part 6, Winds of Change. Weeks passed after graduation, and life moved quickly. The excitement of summer mixed with the anticipation of college, internships, and new beginnings. Alex and Lily spent their days together, making the most of every moment, knowing that their time before they left for separate colleges was dwindling. Their promise to stay connected had grounded them, but with their departure dates drawing closer, the weight of the upcoming distance felt heavier than ever. It was a late August afternoon when they met again in the familiar courtyard of their high school, a place that had seen their love grow through countless conversations. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the campus. This time, the courtyard was empty. No students rushing by, no sounds of excitement, just the two of them, standing in the middle of a place that had meant so much to them. They had come here today to face one last question. What happens when the moment they had been dreading finally arrives?
It feels like summer went by too fast. I thought we'd have more time before everything changed.
I know. 1 minute it felt like we had forever, and now it's almost time. I've been trying not to think about it too much, but it's hard to ignore.
Yeah, leaving for college was always this distant thing, but now it's real, and as much as we've talked about making it work, I can't help but wonder, will we really be able to handle it once we're in different cities? Question: do you think we're strong enough to handle being apart once we leave for college? A. Yes, we've built a strong enough foundation to make it work. B. No, the distance is going to be too hard, and it might break us. C. I'm not sure we'll have to take it one step at a time and see.
Answer: C. I'm not sure. We'll have to take it one step at a time and see. I want to believe we're strong enough, but I can't pretend to know for sure. We're entering uncharted territory, and no matter how prepared we are, we can't predict what's going to happen. All we can do is take it one day at a time and see how things unfold.
That makes sense. I guess we can't know how hard it'll be until we're actually living it. But I do believe in what we have. If we keep taking things one step at a time, we'll figure it out.
That's the only way we can handle it, one step at a time, without expecting everything to be perfect. Just staying flexible and adapting as we go.
The shadows grew longer as the sun continued its descent, casting a warm glow over the benches and trees. The gentle rustle of leaves filled the quiet courtyard as the world outside their small bubble felt distant. The calm of the afternoon belied the uncertainty they both felt inside.
You know, with everything changing, it makes me wonder about who we'll be once we're on our own. We've been through so much together, but being apart will give us new experiences, new challenges. Do you think we'll still be the same people when we see each other again?
I've thought about that too. College is going to change us, and I know we'll both grow in different ways. But I don't think that means we'll grow apart. It's just another part of life, right? Growing and adapting. What about you? Do you think we'll still feel the same way after being apart for so long?
Question: do you think we'll still feel the same way about each other after spending time apart? A. Yes, if our connection is real, distance won't change how we feel. B. No, distance will change us, and we might not feel the same way. C. It's possible our feelings will change, but that doesn't mean it's the end.
Answer: C. It's possible our feelings will change, but that doesn't mean it's the end. I think distance changes things, but change doesn't always mean something negative. Our feelings might evolve as we experience new things, but that doesn't have to be a bad thing. We'll still be connected, even if it's different. It's more about staying open to how things grow between us, even if they don't stay exactly the same.
That's a good way to look at it. We can't expect things to stay frozen in time, but that doesn't mean we won't still care about each other. I think it's more about staying connected through the changes.
Exactly. Love can change and still stay strong, as long as we keep working at it, no matter how it evolves.
The wind picked up, swirling gently around them, carrying with it the scent of freshly cut grass and the faint sound of a distant car horn. The courtyard, usually so alive with students, was now still, just the quiet murmur of the wind through the trees and the soft steps of Alex and Lily as they walked slowly down the familiar path.
I guess part of me is scared of the unknown. I don't want to lose what we have, but I know things won't stay the same forever. Do you think we'll look back on this one day and be glad we tried? Or do you think it's possible we'll regret trying to make it work through all this change?
I've asked myself the same question, but I don't think we'll regret trying. Even if it's hard, even if things change more than we expect, I'd rather have tried and known that we gave it our best shot than walked away wondering what if. Do you think there's any chance we'll regret this? Question: do you think we'll ever regret trying to make this work, even if it gets tough? A. No, we'll never regret trying, no matter what happens. B. Yes, if it gets too hard, we might wish we hadn't tried. C. It's possible we'll have regrets, but it's better to try than to wonder what if.
Answer: C. It's possible we'll have regrets, but it's better to try than to wonder what if. I think there's always a chance for regret when you take a risk like this, but I'd rather try and see where things go than spend my life wondering what could have been. Even if it's tough, we'll learn something from it. I don't think I'd ever regret trying because at least we'll know we gave it everything we had.
That's how I feel too. We're stepping into the unknown, and it's scary, but we've come this far. I'd rather face the challenges head on than live with the regret of not trying. No matter what happens, I won't regret this.
As the sun finally dipped below the horizon, the last traces of light faded, leaving the courtyard bathed in soft twilight. The stars began to appear in the deepening sky, and the world around them grew quieter. Standing together, Alex and Lily took in the peaceful scene, knowing that this was the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. They weren't sure where the future would take them, but they were ready to face it, step by step, together.
I'm glad we talked about all of this. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I do know that I don't want to face it without you.
Me too. We don't have to have all the answers right now. We just have to keep being honest and open like we always have. We'll figure the rest out along the way.
And no matter what, I promise I'll be there for you. Even if things change, even if it's hard, I'll keep showing up.
I promise the same. Whatever happens next, we'll face it together.
Under the soft glow of the evening stars, Alex and Lily stood side by side, their hearts full of uncertainty yet strengthened by the love they had built. Together, they stepped into the unknown, ready for the winds of change that would carry them forward. 5 words related to the theme of teenage love, Part 6, Winds of Change.
Anticipation. The feeling of excitement and nervousness about what is to come. Reflection. The act of looking back on past experiences, especially as you prepare for the future.
Evolution, the process of gradual development, especially in relationships as they change over time. Venture, to take a risk or step into the unknown, especially when faced with uncertainty.
Perception, the way one views or understands something, particularly in relationships, as perspectives shift.
Teenage Love, Part 7, Bridges Across the Distance. The summer ended, and soon Alex and Lily found themselves miles apart. College life began in full swing, with new schedules, new faces, and the demands of their separate lives taking hold. Despite the distance, they stayed true to their promise, making time for late-night phone calls, video chats, and texts. At first, everything seemed to work just as they had hoped. Conversations flowed easily, and the connection they shared felt unshakable. But as the months went by, cracks started to appear. It wasn't that they cared less, but the distance, the busy schedules, and the changes in their lives began to test their resolve. It was a chilly November afternoon, and Alex sat in his dorm room, staring at his phone. He hadn't heard from Lily in a few days, and though he knew they were both caught up with schoolwork and activities, the silence weighed on him. His phone buzzed with a message from her, and relief washed over him. They decided to video chat later that evening, hoping to reconnect after the busy week. When Lily's face appeared on the screen, Alex could tell she looked tired, worn out from the weight of her own new life. He felt it too. They smiled at each other, but the atmosphere was different from before, a little more strained.
It's been a while. I've missed talking to you like this. How have you been?
I've missed you too. It's been a lot. Classes, meeting new people, keeping up with everything. It's exhausting. How about you?
Same here. I didn't think college would be this intense. It feels like everything's happening all at once, and sometimes I don't know how to keep up. I guess we're both pretty overwhelmed. Huh?
Yeah. And I hate that we haven't been able to talk as much. It's been harder than I thought it would be to stay connected. Do you think this is just part of being long distance, or do you think something's changing between us? Question: do you think our struggles with staying connected are just a phase or a sign that we're drifting apart? A, it's just a phase, we're both busy, but we'll find our way back to each other. B, it's a sign that distance is starting to pull us apart. C, it's hard to say distance makes everything more complicated, but it doesn't mean we're drifting apart for good.
Answer: C. It's hard to say. Distance makes everything more complicated, but it doesn't mean we're drifting apart for good. I don't think it's a clear sign that we're drifting apart, but I can't deny that things have changed. Distance makes everything harder, and we're both busy in our own lives. It doesn't mean we're not still connected, though. It just means we have to work harder to make time for each other, even when it feels impossible.
I feel the same. It's not that I care about you any less, but it's hard to keep up with everything. I guess we need to find a better way to balance it all.
Exactly. We're not drifting apart. We're just learning how to make this work in a new way. We'll figure it out.
Outside, the autumn leaves rustled in the wind, the colors of the season fading as winter approached. The soft glow of the dorm room lights illuminated Alex's face, while on the screen, Lily's room was bathed in the warm light of her desk lamp. The distance between them felt both small and vast in the quiet stillness of the moment.
I've been thinking a lot about how different everything is now. We're both meeting new people, having new experiences, and as much as I love talking to you, it sometimes feels like we're living separate lives. Do you think that's just part of growing up, or something else?
I think it's part of growing up. We're both in new places, doing new things. It's natural that we're going to have different experiences, but that doesn't mean we're growing apart. Do you think we can keep growing as individuals and still keep what we have? Question: can we keep growing as individuals and still maintain our connection, or will our personal growth pull us in different directions? A. We can grow individually and still stay connected as long as we make the effort. B. Personal growth will naturally pull us apart. It's inevitable. C. We can try, but personal growth might lead us down different paths.
Answer: A. We can grow individually and still stay connected as long as we make the effort. I think it's possible to grow as individuals and still stay connected, but it's going to take effort. We're not the same people we were in high school, and that's okay. We don't have to be exactly the same to make this work. We just have to be willing to adapt and stay committed to each other.
I agree. We're both changing, but that doesn't mean we're growing apart. We can still grow together, even if it looks different from before.
Exactly. It's about making the effort to stay close, even when we're growing in different ways.
The wind outside picked up, howling softly as it swept through the campus. The world outside their windows was different. Lily in her new city, Alex in his. Yet in this moment, they were together, connected through the faint glow of their screens.
I guess part of me is scared that the longer we're apart, the more we'll change, and one day we won't recognize each other. But another part of me knows that change is part of life, and maybe it's something we just have to embrace. Do you ever think about how much will change over the next few years?
All the time, change is inevitable. We can't stop it, but maybe that's not such a bad thing. Do you think we'll still be us after everything we're going through? Question: do you think we'll still be the same us after all the changes we go through in college? A. Yes, we'll still be the same no matter how much we change. B. No, we'll change so much that we might not recognize who we've become. C. We'll be different, but that doesn't mean we won't still be connected.
Answer: C. We'll be different, but that doesn't mean we won't still be connected. I think we'll change. There's no way around that. But that doesn't mean we won't still be connected. We'll just have to learn to appreciate the new versions of ourselves and find ways to stay close, even as we evolve.
I think you're right. We're going to grow and change in ways we can't predict, but that doesn't mean we won't still care about each other. We just have to be open to who we're becoming and not hold on too tightly to who we were.
Exactly. We're not the same people we were when we first met, and that's okay. It's part of the journey, and I think we can keep growing together, even if we're not exactly the same us as before.
The quiet of the evening settled in as their conversation came to a close. The soft glow of their screens flickered, and for a moment, neither of them said anything, just letting the weight of the conversation sink in. Despite the challenges, despite the distance, there was still hope in the quiet connection they shared. The future was uncertain, but in this moment, they were together.
I'm glad we talked. I know it's not always easy, but I feel better knowing we're both still in this, even if things are changing.
Me too. It's not going to be easy, but we've made it this far. We'll keep figuring it out, no matter what.
One step at a time, right?
Right, one step at a time.
As they said their goodbyes and the screens went dark, Alex and Lily knew that while the distance between them was real, so was their connection. And in the quiet of the night, they held on to the hope that love, like a bridge, could span the miles that lay between them. 5 words related to the theme of title: Teenage Love, Part 7, Bridges Across the Distance.
Solitude, the state of being alone, often used to reflect on personal feelings or growth. Reconnection, the act of restoring a connection that has been weakened by time, distance, or circumstances.
Resilience, the ability to withstand and recover from difficult situations, particularly in relationships. Adjustment, the process of adapting to new circumstances, especially in relationships challenged by distance.
Commitment, the ongoing dedication to maintaining a relationship even when faced with obstacles or change.
Teenage Love, Part 8, Echoes of Distance. As winter settled in, so did the reality of Alex and Lily's long-distance relationship. The flurry of college life continued to keep them busy, but they had managed to maintain their connection. They still talked regularly, but the conversations, while warm and familiar, were beginning to feel a bit different, tinged with the subtle weight of the miles between them. Their lives were evolving in ways neither of them could have predicted, and sometimes the distance felt more than just physical. One evening, after a long day of classes, Alex sat on his bed scrolling through his phone. He saw a photo Lily had posted, her with a new group of friends, laughing in a moment of shared joy. He smiled, but there was a pang of something else too. He couldn't be there with her, sharing those moments. He felt proud of her, happy she was finding her place in this new world, but a part of him couldn't help wondering, was the distance slowly becoming more than just physical? Later that night, they called each other. The familiar sound of Lily's voice brought a smile to Alex's face, but as they spoke, the underlying tension began to surface.
I saw your message earlier. I'm glad we could finally talk tonight. It feels like the days are slipping away faster than I can keep track of.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind. Between classes, projects, and everything else, it's hard to find a moment to just breathe. How are you holding up?
Honestly, it's been a mix. I'm enjoying college, making new friends, but sometimes I miss how simple things used to be, when we didn't have to try so hard just to stay connected.
I know what you mean. Things are great here too, but it feels like I'm missing a part of my life that used to be right in front of me. Us. Do you think we're slowly losing touch, or is this just what happens when distance gets involved? Question. Do you think we're slowly losing touch because of the distance, or is this just part of the process? A. It's part of the process. Distance makes things feel different, but it doesn't mean we're losing touch. B. Yes, we're losing touch. Distance is making it harder to stay connected. C. It's possible that distance is pulling us apart, but that doesn't mean we can't find a way back.
Answer A. It's part of the process. Distance makes things feel different, but it doesn't mean we're losing touch. I think distance changes the way we communicate, and that makes everything feel a little off. But it doesn't mean we're losing touch. We're just learning how to stay connected in a new way. It's harder, but it's not impossible. We just have to keep finding ways to remind each other that we're still in this together.
That's true. I guess it's easy to feel disconnected when we're not physically together, but that doesn't mean we're losing what we have. It just feels different now.
Exactly. We're not losing each other, we're adapting to this new reality. It's part of the process.
The cool winter air pressed against the windows of their dorm rooms, the hum of the heating system filling the silence between their words. The distant sounds of campus life faded into the background, leaving only the soft glow of their phone screens connecting them across the miles.
I've been thinking about how different everything is now. You're meeting new people, and so am I, and sometimes I wonder, is it okay for us to be building separate lives like this? I mean, we're growing in different directions, but does that mean we're leaving each other behind?
That's been on my mind too. I think it's natural to be living different lives now we're both growing, making new memories without each other. But that doesn't mean we're leaving each other behind, does it? Question: is it possible to live separate lives and still stay connected, or does that mean we're growing apart? A. We can live separate lives and still stay connected as long as we make the effort. B. No, living separate lives means we're growing apart, even if we don't mean to. C. It depends on how much we prioritize staying in each other's lives.
Answer: A. We can live separate lives and still stay connected as long as we make the effort. I think it's possible for us to live our own lives and still stay connected. We're not always going to be part of each other's everyday experiences, but that doesn't mean we're growing apart. We just have to make the effort to stay involved in each other's lives, even from a distance.
I agree. We're not going to be in the same place physically, but we can still share our lives with each other. It's about making that time, even when it feels like we're living in two different worlds.
Exactly. We're not losing what we have just because we're not in the same place. We just have to keep sharing our worlds with each other.
The moon shone brightly through the cold winter night, casting long shadows over the dorm buildings. The wind outside whistled against the windows, but inside, the warmth of their conversation wrapped around them, reminding them of the bond they were working to maintain.
Do you ever wonder if we're putting too much pressure on ourselves? I mean, trying to keep everything the same when our lives are changing so much. Maybe it's okay for things to change a little. Maybe we don't need to hold on so tightly to what we had before.
I've wondered about that too. It's like we're trying to keep everything exactly the way it was, but we're not the same people anymore. Do you think we're holding on too tightly instead of letting things evolve? Question: are we holding on too tightly to the past, or should we let our relationship evolve with the changes in our lives? A. We should let our relationship evolve. Change is part of growing. B. No, we need to hold on tightly to what we had if we want to keep it. C. It's a balance. We need to let things evolve, but not lose sight of what we had.
Answer A. We should let our relationship evolve. Change is part of growing. I think change is part of growing, and we can't expect things to stay exactly the same. It's okay for our relationship to evolve with us. We don't need to hold on so tightly to the past if we're both committed to making this work in the future. Letting go of the old doesn't mean we're losing what we have. It just means we're making space for something new.
You're right. We've both changed, and that's okay. Our relationship can change with us. We don't have to hold on to how things used to be if we're both still committed to growing together.
Exactly. Letting our relationship evolve doesn't mean we're letting it go. It just means we're making room for the people we're becoming.
The night deepened, and the wind outside grew stronger, howling through the streets below. But inside, Alex and Lily's conversation brought a sense of calm and clarity. They weren't the same people they had been in high school, and that was okay. What mattered now was that they were still committed to growing together, even as they changed. Their relationship wasn't about staying the same. It was about embracing the evolution of who they were becoming.
I feel like we've been holding on to the past because it felt safe. But now I realize that change doesn't mean we're losing anything. We're just moving forward in a new way.
Exactly. We're not losing what we had. We're just letting it grow into something else. And I'm ready for that, as long as we're doing it together.
Me too. Whatever the future looks like, I want us to keep growing together.
Then let's embrace the change. We don't have to be the same people we were back then. We just have to keep caring about each other.
Under the cold winter sky, Alex and Lily found comfort in the knowledge that change, though challenging, was not something to fear. Together, they were ready to embrace the evolution of their relationship, trusting that even across the distance, they would continue to grow together. 5 words related to the theme of teenage love. Part 8, Echoes of Distance.
Evolution, the gradual development or change in a relationship as both individuals grow. Balance, the act of maintaining stability between past commitments and future growth in a relationship.
Adaptation, adjusting to new circumstances, especially when distance and change challenge a relationship. Commitment, the ongoing dedication to maintaining a relationship, even when it requires evolving.
Perspective, the way individuals view and interpret the changes in their relationship, especially as they grow.
Teenage Love, Part 9, The Distance Between Us. As winter turned to spring, the miles between Alex and Lily felt heavier than ever. The excitement of new experiences at college had faded, replaced by the weight of routine and the longing to see each other in person again. They had both kept their promise to stay connected through calls, messages, and video chats, but the reality of their separate lives was starting to wear on them. The warmth and closeness they used to share felt like a memory, something they could only grasp at from a distance. One weekend, they had planned to visit each other, but an unexpected project on Alex's side and a family commitment on Lily's meant they had to cancel. As they sat down for another video call that evening, Neither of them could ignore the growing tension any longer.
I hate that we had to cancel this weekend. I've been looking forward to seeing you for weeks.
Me too. It feels like every time we get close to seeing each other, something gets in the way. I'm tired of it. I miss you.
I miss you too, more than I can even say, but sometimes it feels like the more we try to make this work, the harder it gets. Do you ever feel like that? Question: do you think the distance is making everything harder, or is it just the stress of college? A. It's the distance. Being apart for so long is wearing us down. B. It's more the stress of college. It's hard to balance everything. C. It's both the distance and the stress of college are making things more difficult than we expected.
Answer: C. It's both. The distance and the stress of college are making things more difficult than we expected. I think it's both. The distance makes it harder to stay connected, and college is stressful for both of us. It's like we're constantly juggling so many things, and sometimes it feels like our relationship is the thing that gets pushed aside, even though we don't want it to be. It's not that we care any less, but the pressure is real.
I get that. I don't want our relationship to feel like just another thing on our list, but it's hard not to feel that way when we're both trying to keep up with so much.
Exactly. I think the distance just magnifies everything else that's already hard. It's not easy, but that doesn't mean we're failing. It just means we have to be more patient with each other and ourselves.
The night was quiet, with only the soft hum of the air conditioning filling the spaces between their words. Outside, the lights of the campus glowed faintly in the distance, and the soft rustling of trees could be heard through the window. Though they were separated by miles, in this moment, the connection between them felt real, despite the strain.
Do you think there's ever going to be a time when the distance doesn't feel so overwhelming? Like, will we get used to it? Or is this just how it's going to be?
I don't know. I want to believe we'll get used to it, but part of me feels like the distance is always going to be there until we can finally be in the same place again. What do you think?
Question: do you think we'll ever get used to the distance, or will it always feel this hard? A. Yes, we'll get used to it eventually. It'll become part of our routine. B. No, the distance will always be hard, but we'll learn to manage it. C. It depends. We might never fully get used to it, but it won't always feel this overwhelming.
Answer: C. It depends. We might never fully get used to it, but it won't always feel this overwhelming. I don't think we'll ever fully get used to being apart, but that doesn't mean it'll always feel this hard. We'll probably find ways to cope with the distance better over time, but there are always going to be moments when it feels like too much. It's about finding a balance between accepting the distance and still trying to make the most of what we have.
That makes sense. I guess it's unrealistic to think we'll ever just stop missing each other, but maybe we'll get better at dealing with the time apart. It won't always feel this overwhelming, even if it's never easy.
Yeah, and as long as we keep talking about it, we can find ways to make it work, even when it feels impossible.
The glow of the phone screens softened as their conversation continued. Outside, the cool night air swept through the trees, the sounds of the world quiet but steady. The silence between their words wasn't awkward, just reflective, as they both processed the challenges they were facing.
I keep thinking about how much things have changed since high school. Back then, we were together all the time, and now we're lucky if we can spend a weekend together every few months. It feels like everything's so different now. Do you think we'll ever get back to the way things were, or is this just how it's going to be from now on?
I've been wondering that too. Part of me misses how things used to be, just the simplicity of it all. But another part of me knows we can't go back. We've changed, and our lives are different now. Do you think we should be holding on to what we had, or should we be focusing on building something new?
Question: should we focus on trying to get back to how things were, or on building something new from where we are now? A. We should focus on building something new. Things have changed, and that's okay. B. We should try to get back to how things were. It's what made our relationship strong. C. We should try to balance both, honoring the past while embracing the future.
Answer A. We should focus on building something new. Things have changed, and that's okay. I think we should focus on building something new. We're not the same people we were in high school, and our relationship doesn't have to stay the same either. That doesn't mean we're losing what we had. It just means we're growing, and we need to embrace that. Trying to go back to the way things were might hold us back from what we can become together.
You're right. I've been so focused on trying to recreate what we had, but maybe that's not the answer. We're different now, and that's okay. We can build something new, something that works for where we are now.
Exactly. We're not losing anything by letting things change. We're just evolving. And I think that's how we'll stay connected, even through the hardest parts.
The stars outside twinkled softly, their light distant but constant, like the connection between Alex and Lily. Though they were miles apart, they knew that their relationship wasn't about holding on to the past. It was about embracing the present and building something new together. The distance between them was real, but so was the bond they shared.
I'm glad we talked tonight. It's not always easy, but I feel better knowing we're on the same page. We don't have to try to go back to how things were. We can keep moving forward.
Me too. I feel like we're finally understanding that it's okay for things to change. We'll figure this out, even if it's not the same as it used to be.
One step at a time, right?
Always, one step at a time.
Under the vast night sky, with the distance between them fading into the background, Alex and Lily found comfort in knowing that their relationship, though different from what it once was still strong enough to withstand the changes ahead, one step at a time. 5 words related to the theme of teenage love, Part 9, The Distance Between Us.
Overwhelm, the feeling of being unable to cope with the weight of emotional or physical challenges. Reflection, the act of thinking deeply about past experiences and current feelings, especially in relationships.
Patience, the ability to endure difficulties in a relationship without frustration or giving up. Evolution, the gradual process of growth and change within a relationship as circumstances shift.
Reassurance, the act of providing comfort and affirmation in times of doubt or uncertainty.
Teenage love. Last part, the journey home. The end of the school year approached, and summer was on the horizon. For the first time in months, Alex and Lily were preparing to see each other in person again. They had spent the past year navigating the challenges of long distance, facing moments of doubt and frustration, but through it all, their connection had endured. Now, as they packed up their dorms and prepared to return home for the summer, both felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. Would seeing each other in person again be as natural as it once was? Or would the months apart have created an invisible distance they couldn't quite bridge? The day of their reunion arrived. They had decided to meet in the park where they used to hang out during high school, a familiar place filled with old memories. Alex arrived first, standing by the bench where they had shared so many conversations. As the warm summer breeze rustled the leaves overhead, he spotted Lily approaching in the distance. His heart raced, not with fear, but with the weight of everything they had been through. When Lily finally reached him, they smiled at each other, a mixture of relief and affection in their eyes. The tension of the past year seemed to melt away in the summer heat.
I can't believe it's been this long. I feel like I've been waiting for this moment forever.
I know. It feels surreal, seeing you again after everything we've been through. How are you feeling?
Nervous, excited, mostly relieved. It's strange, though. I've been thinking, after everything we've dealt with this year, do you think we'll just go back to the way things were before, or is this something new? Question: do you think we'll go back to the way things were, or are we starting something new? A. We'll go back to the way things were. It'll feel like no time has passed. B. No, things have changed. We're starting something new now. C. It's a mix. We'll feel the same connection, but things will be different in some ways.
Answer: C. It's a mix. We'll feel the same connection, but things will be different in some ways. I think we'll still feel that connection we've always had, but things will be different too. We've changed, and so has our relationship. That doesn't mean it's worse. It just means we're evolving. We're not going back to the past. We're building something new with everything we've learned this year.
That makes sense. I don't want to pretend like nothing has changed because we've both grown so much, but I think what we have is still there, just stronger in a way.
Exactly. We've made it through all of this, and now we can enjoy what's next without holding on too tightly to the past.
The warmth of the summer sun filled the air as they sat down on the bench together, the park alive with the sounds of birds chirping and children laughing in the distance. The familiarity of the moment was comforting, Yet there was a new depth to their connection, a quiet acknowledgement of everything they had been through to get here.
This whole year has taught me a lot about us, about what it means to really care about someone. And I've realized that no matter what happens, I don't want to let go of this. Do you think we've come out stronger because of the distance, or did it show us how fragile everything can be? Question: do you think the distance made us stronger, or did it reveal the fragility of our relationship? A. It made us stronger. What we went through proved we can handle anything. B. It revealed some fragility, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. C. It's a mix. It showed us both how strong we are and how delicate love can be.
Answer C. It's a mix. It showed us both how strong we are and how delicate love can be. I think it's a bit of both. The distance definitely tested us, and there were moments where it felt fragile, like everything could fall apart. But the fact that we made it through shows that we're stronger than we knew. It taught us how to handle the tough times without giving up, but also how important it is to take care of the love we have.
Yeah, it wasn't easy, but we came out of it knowing we can handle more than we thought. It taught us not to take anything for granted, and I think that's what's going to keep us strong moving forward.
Agreed. We've learned to protect what we have, but we also know that love needs constant care. It's not just about surviving, it's about making sure it grows.
The light began to soften as the afternoon wore on, the sky turning a warm orange as the sun lowered toward the horizon. The park felt quieter now, the busyness of the day giving way to a peaceful calm. Alex and Lily sat side by side, feeling the weight of their journey, but also the lightness that came with knowing they had made it through.
Now that we're here, back together after everything, I've been thinking about the future. We've faced a lot, and I know there's more ahead. Do you think we're ready to face whatever comes next, or do you think there's still more we need to figure out?
I've thought about that too. I think we're ready, but there's always going to be more to figure out. Relationships aren't something you just complete. They're something you keep building. What do you think? Question: do you think we're ready to face the future together, or is there still more we need to figure out? A. We're ready. We've already been through so much, and we can handle anything. B. No, there's still a lot to figure out before we can be truly ready. C. We're ready for the future, but we'll always have things to figure out as we go.
Answer C. We're ready for the future, but we'll always have things to figure out as we go. I think we're ready for whatever comes next, but that doesn't mean we have all the answers. We're going to keep learning and growing together. There will always be challenges, but I know we can face them as long as we keep communicating and staying open with each other.
Exactly. It's not about being perfect or having everything figured out. It's about being willing to face the challenges together, no matter what comes our way. And I'm ready for that.
Me too. We've been through a lot already, but we're stronger because of it. I'm ready to keep building this with you, step by step.
The sun dipped below the horizon, casting the park in a soft, golden glow. The warmth of the day lingered in the air, a reminder of the journey they had taken to get here. As they stood to leave, Alex and Lily walked together, side by side, feeling a renewed sense of connection, stronger than ever before. The future stretched out before them, unknown and full of possibilities, but they knew now that they would face it together.
I'm glad we had this chance to reconnect. It feels like we've found our way back to each other, but with something even stronger than before.
Me too. It's like everything we've been through has brought us to this moment, and now we're ready for whatever comes next.
One step at a time, just like always.
One step at a time.
As they walked away from the park, with the fading sunlight behind them and the open road ahead, Alex and Lily knew that while the journey had been difficult, it had also been worth it. Together, they were ready to face the future, stronger, wiser, and more in love than ever. 5 words related to the theme of teenage love. Last part, the journey home.
Resilience, the ability to recover from difficulties and continue moving forward, especially in relationships. Endurance, the capacity to withstand hardship or adversity over a long period of time, particularly in love.
Renewal, a sense of being refreshed or strengthened, especially after overcoming challenges. Journey, the process of growth and discovery in life and relationships, with its ups and downs.
Connection, the bond that holds two people together, even through distance and change.